Interest rate slap yesterday. We're going to talk about what the industry heads are saying. Stay tuned.
Good morning.
What do you reckon?
Duck and weave. You got to duck and weave this morning. The duck out in full force.
It's a duck and weave. It's a duck and weave, and unexpected, I guess, when you look at it in a long-term view. No one thought this year, last year, we're going to be getting these sort of rate rises. We thought it was all coming in 2024. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. There's a bit of outrage in the community from what it sounds like. I think I personally agree with some of the opinions that they just shouldn't have paused it to then raise it again a month after. I think that just gave everyone a bit of false security. But there's some pretty educated people out there that are making these decisions. So I just hope it's for good reason.
Yeah, look, I think every time they're going up, everyone's going, oh man, can't they just give us some reprieve of a month or two or a break? And then we get the break and people go, oh man, what did you have to do that to us for? Well, you should have just kept putting it up and it was unexpected. So we're going to talk about today how it's going to affect our property market, this next rate rise. Are we past the breaking point, at the breaking point? Have we still got more to go? We're going to have a bit of a chat about that. And then we're going to see some interviews with some of the...
We've lost your audio, Mark. I've lost you. Can't hear you. But as Mark was saying, yeah, we're going to just flick on a couple of interviews with two kind of key industry people that sort of have a good reason of voice around us. So yeah, stay tuned on that. It's going to be really interesting to be in the field today. First Wednesday open home day where there's been a new interest rate rise. For the last few weeks, months even, it's just not been a topic of conversation. No one's mentioned it to us. So I'm particularly interested to see whether it's on the tip of people's tongues as they're coming through the door, particularly if they're looking at making offers. I've got you back now.
Absolutely. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Luke said, is this going to be a new bottom or prices rise from here? Stay tuned on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm really keen to hear what Tim Lawless says. And I'll say it, Tim Lawless is one of the leading people for data in the country. Understand where the property market's coming from and potentially where it's going when you look at trends. So Tim Lawless, humble man, a lovely man, the godfather of property data. Let's see what he's got to say.
That's it. Thank you for joining us, Tim. Thank you. We're really happy to have you.
Over to you, Tim.
We're really happy to have you on the show.
It was always going to be a line ball. The 25 basis point rate hike is probably the last in what's been the most rapid rate hiking cycle on record. Clearly, the RBA is still a bit concerned about how sticky inflation might be, especially amid such tight labour markets. Although the RBA didn't call out the recent positive trend in housing markets, there is the chance a stabilization or a lift in housing prices could be accompanied by a lift in consumer attitudes, supporting consumption and potentially keeping inflation higher for longer. The lift in interest rates could act to dampen some of the recent housing market exuberance, although a range of other factors are likely to support the continued stabilization in home values, including low supply, extremely tight rental conditions, and higher demand via net overseas migration. Time will tell whether or not the latest rate hike is enough to send the positive trend in home values into reverse. However, we're anticipating that the market will continue to level out on the expectation that interest rates have peaked and the imbalance between housing supply and demand will persist for some time yet. Today's interest rate decision
There
was
you
all.
go. I think that sort of message there is people are still going to be, I think, buying and selling property on the basis that we've reached the top of those rate rises since they first started in May 2020.
And it seems like, look, there's lots of balls in the air that the government's trying to manage. It was very unexpected of the property market doing a little bit better. I distinctly remember meeting with Tim in January and meeting with the head of the head economist from RPA in January, and the joint view between those guys was that there was going to be 2 rate rises. We've had one, and now we've had the second. And then towards the end of the year, the rates were going to get actually better, and they were going to improve. So on that January opinion, these guys have been on point. Yes, there's been 2 rate rises, and it's going to be interesting now to see if it's going to pause, and interesting to see if it's actually going to come back towards the end of the year. Now, next person we interviewed.
Yeah, and I really like this one because it doesn't just talk about the data. He is a voice for the people, and it's more than just the numbers on the spreadsheet for Mark Boris. It's much more the impact it's actually having on people themselves. So yeah, this was a pretty good sort of minute interview where he spared us a minute of his time.
Another 25 basis point increase. Are they serious? Are they really, really serious? Do they want to break this economy? Do they want to break the backbone of Australian mortgage holders? They just keep putting interest rates up. They put them up another 25 basis points. They led us into a lull feeling of security and safety by going for a pause last month. They're quoting the fact that, inflation's still too high at 7%. Got it. They're saying that unemployment is still too low at 3.5%. Got it. And now it's starting to talk about wage price pressures. In other words, what contribution will increases in wages put to the inflation number going onto the future? For me, they should have stayed on pause and wait to see what's going to happen with the interest rate increases they've already jammed us with. They've just smashed us over the head. This is going to create something to break from my point of view. And I just think they've just gone way too far. They have to stop. They have to stop this. They've got to stop worrying about what the data says. They've got to look at the human impact of their interest rate increases. It's like data is all that matters. That's all that matters. Data, data, data. Can we get inflation down to where we need to get it down to? What about the impact on people? The people you are crushing around the country after you told them not that long ago, a year and a bit ago, that interest rates will not be going up into 2024. And by the way, they never even said when they do go up, they're going to go up by the number of interest rate increases we have had. They never said, oh, by the way, in 2024, when we do put them up, they're going to go up at a record pace, at a pace that we've never seen in our history before. And just be careful, be ready for it. This interest rate increase is just a slap in the face from my point of view. And I think it was one of those ones that was completely unnecessary. But 3.85 is the new official cash rate.
There you go.
There you go, Billy Bob. And what's interesting is, I think on that, well, sorry, mate. I think what's interesting on that is, it may well be the case that the property market reacts quite quickly to interest rate rises, but it may be the case that inflation acts quite slowly towards interest rate rises, because I think, and look, let's face it, inflation is, people's, they're trying to curb people's spending outside of property to control inflation. They're trying to grab that money where you're contributing more to interest rate rises, and in the hope that grabbing that money from there will curb people's spending in other areas, whether it's food, whether it's building, whether it's consumable products, if they can curb people's spending. So it may well be the fact that, like, I know builders, for example, these builders are pre-committed 12 months ahead. So if you've committed to build and interest rate rises have gone up for 6 months period, you've already committed to that build. So I think they've got to be careful that inflation could be a much more long-term way that it reacts to interest rates. And I think you find that the property market has a very quick reaction to interest rates. So they're trying to fix one thing, and they could be breaking the other thing. They could really be breaking the back of inflation much harder than they think, because there's a bit of a lag there. But I don't know. I'm no expert, but it's a bloody shock to people. And I think for people are really, really hurting out there at the moment. I know with tenancies, they're being slapped with higher rents. I know with homes, they're being slapped with higher mortgage repayments. Some mortgage repayments are triple what they were. It is concerning. I don't understand, Billy, how the property market went up in the last 3 months.
It's really interesting, right? And there's a lot of comments here as well. So this is obviously a hot topic, but yeah, Luke's saying, agree. Why the surprise? I think the surprise is the biggest thing here. You know, you tell someone one thing and do the complete other, and then break history with the steepest rate rises ever. It's just come as a shock. Are they going to change the building codes? They're going to make it much harder and more expensive for builders and purchasers who are wishing to build. In my opinion, that's going to make property particularly more expensive or sought after. There already isn't enough stock on the market, and people won't be able to afford to build their dream home. Really well said. Data comes through very slowly, and that's the thing. We haven't even seen the effect of the pause yet. That's, I think, what people will be frustrated in. That pause didn't even have its time to play its impact. So
3 months to get it to feel. This is from the chief economist of the CBA, Commonwealth Bank of Australia. It takes 3 months to feel an effect from an interest rate rise, and particularly the full effect. So they're still feeling from the first rate rise. They still haven't felt the effect from the first rate rise. Now there's this rate rise. We're not going to feel the effect from this rate rise until May, June, July, probably August, which is long way away. Let's Novak.
On the soapbox. There's so many comments here. It's good to see that this is a good platform for everyone to chat about it. And then borrowing capacity will now change with the buyer, too, with our buyers. This is being reassessed on every rate rise pretty much. So I think if there's any buyers out there at the moment and you've got the pre-approval, just spend what you can whilst you can. As long as you find the right property, I think it's never been a better time to just use what you've got.
Well, with the rate rise, there's about, I remember the mortgage broker telling us it does affect lending to about 50 grand with these 30 to 50 grand with these rate rises. So it's very, very high impact to people's lending, and basically it caps people out from buying what they need with property wise. So that's interesting.
Any other comments?
I reckon. Okay, now here's my punt. We've heard from Mark Boris. We've heard from Tim Lawless. We've still yet to hear from Billy DRURY. But the crowd's very loud. They're roaring. Okay, here we go. My opinion is this gentle rate rise is going to smack the property market into a level market, probably till the end of the year. I think the full effect of the rate rises will be felt through inflation. Look, inflation just seems to be reacting so friggin' slowly. The full effect is, and the reason I think it's acting so slowly is it's a long correction for inflation. So that's why we're not seeing it straight away. I think we're definitely going to see it coming through now. And I think that property market's really going to level out. It gave me hope seeing the last 3 months in the property market that we're not screwed, that there's life. But I think this is going to squash that it's going to level it out. Don't like to say that though, being a real estate agent, but so I feel.
Yeah, I do think that's the case. I think the big thing to remember here is it's going to take the full 3 months to trickle through. But I don't think this lasts. I think people will remember that this is going to hopefully be the last of the rate rises, and I don't think it's going to be a short-term fix for the problems they're trying to work through. You know, that lack of stock. But see.
I often have this conversation privately, Billy, with some people that are very influential in my life, and the way we live today to how our parents live is quite different. And the one common thing that the strain that I talk about, Branka from our office is a very, very wise lady. She says, how many people have a telephone in the house? And I was like, what are you talking about? She said, when I grew up, there was one telephone. Now there's 4. How many cars in the house? When I grew up, there was 1 car in the house. Now there's 4. There's 4 car insurances. There's how many television subscriptions are there? There was none. Now there's 4. You know, you got Prime, you got Netflix, you got that. She said, we are a society now where we're programmed not to spend impulsively, but to spend consistently. So I think that my point is that I think with curbing this inflation, we've all had to pull it in. We've all had to find ways to save money, and it's a little bit, there's a bit of humility behind it, but I think the bottom line is we've all just got to pull it in a little bit until that inflation pulls it in, and work harder, which hurts, but we were eating cake.
I got the answer, Mark.
What is it?
Breakfast, brought from home. Lunch, brought from home.
You know what, guys? Billy,
mate,
you've just nailed it in 2 sentences. That is exactly it. You know, Uber Eats, you know, that sort of stuff, bringing stuff from home. I've also done the same today. I think it's just, we just got to batten down the hatches, guys. And it's all good. It's all necessary. But Billy, we were eating cake. The government gave away a record amount of money through COVID to keep us afloat, and it went out of the coffers and it's got to go back in the coffers. So bottom line, that's the show.
That's the show. Thanks for joining us this morning. Really good viewing numbers. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. Coffee machine purchase. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Do you know, we really, really did. So Lisa reckons the low stock, the scarcity in stock, Lisa Novak, is going to contribute to property growth. It's interesting because there's going to be, so Lisa and I'm saying level. Lisa, you're saying growth. How much growth? Also, g'day to Lisa Kramer. Guys, the predictions was always 1 more rate rise. Pretty consistent. It's true. And Luke Moroney said Sydney down 5%. No more downs. No more downs, in my opinion.
There you go. Have a good day, guys, and
blue skies today. I love you, everyone. See ya. Bye.
See ya.